The Bill Meyer Show on 106.7 KMED and FM 99.3 KCMD. Call 541-770-5633. 770-KMED.
7:36. Now later today, Governor Kate Brown will she put her hand on a Bible? I don't know. But she's going to swear an oath to the Constitution, which I don't think she's necessarily going to follow. We have a lot of battles here in this upcoming legislative session, which is going to be open officially a week from tomorrow. Kevin Starrett, Oregon Firearms Federation, is here to break us down with some of the latest intrusions that they're wishing to, essentially going after all the marbles. Fair enough, Kevin? It's all of it.
Yep, that's pretty much it. It's going after everything.
All right. Everyone's been paying attention a lot to the most extreme, most written by tyrants for morons is kind of the way I look at this. Senate Bill 501, but there's a lot more going on too. Senate Bill 501 essentially criminalizes most likely every firearm that most everyone has in Oregon right now. Semi-automatic firearms with more than a 5-round capacity in their magazine, right?
Yeah. Additionally, it outlaws the purchase of more than 20 rounds of ammunition a month. It requires... In
fact, I purchased about 20 months' worth of ammunition, according to Senate Bill 501 standard, just at Weimar on Saturday, right?
Exactly. The thing is most ammunition, you can't even buy it in that quantity unless you're going to go buy it a round at a time, which, of course, nobody does. But it changes the length of time that the state police can stall on allowing a transfer. It criminalizes possession by people 18 to 20. It requires a background check to buy ammo. It was written by two liberals from Lake Oswego because some Tide Pod eaters from their high school came and demanded all this. And of course, none of these people even know what any of it means. And it's just one of many dangerous pieces of legislation, and the extremists the extremist Democrats have control, and they've exercised that control. We have for many years, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee was a Democrat named Jeff Barker, who was a fairly reasonable guy. And so he's being punished. He's being punished for having been reasonable. He's lost that gavel that he's had for 17 years and been replaced by Jennifer Williamson, who's a militant leftist from Portland.
Oh, isn't she the doctor? She's a doctor, right?
No. Elizabeth Steiner Haywood is the doctor.
Oh, okay, because
the doctor who is going to not only is going to tell you when and where to vaccinate your children, but demand that you have visits from the state 3 times after your baby is born. And the interesting thing about Steiner Haywood is that she's a senator and a doctor who makes these demands on you, but she's also openly and proudly mentally ill. She makes no bones about the fact that she is severely mentally ill and cannot function without being heavily medicated. Now, these are people who should not be making laws for the rest of the state. I mean, we're in a very, very serious situation now.
All right. So Senate Bill 501, as crazy as that is, there's a lot more going on when it comes to the Second Amendment right that we're here to fight for. And House Bill 2251 is one which has not really received a lot of press, but this is serious stuff. This is Kate Brown's gun bill, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's basically IP 43, the ballot measure we defeated, that's dressed up a little bit differently. But when I say it kind of decides what they're going to call what an assault weapon is, and then it goes on to name about 100 different guns. But then it also starts naming features that make something an assault weapon, and some of it really just doesn't make sense. But some of the quote features that define what an assault weapon would be would apply to every single firearm ever made, every single rifle ever made, and so. Is this a question of just their incompetence because they just had legislative counsel copy the idiotic verbiage from IP 43, or do they know what they're doing and that was what their plan was all along? I never want to rule out how much stupidity rules, but the fact is that if these things pass, and of course it prevents 18 to 20-year-olds from owning most firearms, and look, 18 to 20-year-olds are obviously fighting our wars. They're voting. They're they're driving cars, they start driving cars when they're 15, and that causes far more deaths than firearms ever do. And the average new driver has 3 accidents in the first year or two, but they don't have those kind of events happening with firearms. And so it's quite clear that this has nothing to do with keeping people safe. This is just the raw hatred of the left for firearms owners. It's very, very scary.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the verbiage of this. Assault rifle means a selective fire rifle capable of fully automatic, which almost none of us have because they start at about $10,000, full machine guns. We haven't been
$10,000. I tried $25,000.
Yeah, okay, $25,000. But also semi-automatic. So that means every rifle in this state would qualify as an assault rifle, according to this, or at least most of them. Anything that's not a bolt-action hunting rifle would be semi-automatic.
Lever action, but
yeah.
You see what they define as a forward pistol grip. Means a feature capable of functioning as a grip that can be held by the non-trigger hand.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that a stock? I mean, that's anything. Of course, every rifle has that. And then they have any grip of the rifle, including a pistol grip.
But every rifle has to have a grip. You have to have something to hold it.
The use of which would allow an individual to grip the rifle in a manner resulting in any finger on the trigger hand being below any portion of the action. Well, that's every single rifle ever made. When you grip a rifle, your hand isn't above the action. And so, it's just, as I said, it's hard to tell. Is this incompetence? Is this maliciousness? Or, it's just that when stupid people get to make the rules, good people really suffer. And to say we're going to require a background check to buy a box of ammo, and look, given the incompetence of the state police background check system, are we going to then have delays and denials on purchases of ammo? And if you're denied, do the cops come and visit you? If you're delayed, do you wait 30 days before you could buy your 20 rounds of ammo a month? And then, the average trip to the range is 100 to 200 rounds of ammo, and so
Easily.
The number is completely arbitrary.
From what I understand, though, under that rule, I guess they would allow ranges to sell ammo. Yeah, I saw some verbiage in there. So in other words, if you don't have if the range isn't there in the daytime, in order for you to Mother May I purchase your ammo from the ammo store that they're all going to have to open up, good luck, right?
Well, first of all, most ranges don't have the ability to do that.
No.
But second of all, it only allows.
Well, that's the idea. That's the whole idea.
I mean, my range sells shotgun ammo, but my range has an FFL, and a lot of clubs don't. And the fact is that you still, no matter what you buy under the law, you still have to use it there. So if you buy 50 rounds of ammo, you got it. You can't take 30 rounds of ammo home. And the whole idea that we're going to be doing background checks on ammo purchases is just, look, I mean, Bill, you and I both know this is colossal insanity.
Absolutely.
But, there's just so many bills out there. I counted about 16. And then there's some real odd ones. Like there's a bill that would allow you to voluntarily put your name on a list of people who can't buy firearms. Well, that list would be public, and then it's just, where is that going to go? We know where that's going to go. And then, Brad Witt and Carla Peluso, who are anti-gun Democrats, actually have a bill out that copies almost word for word a ballot measure that I wrote that would allow for firearms training in elementary school. Now, why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that so they'll be able to go to gun owners and say, look, I introduced a bill that's on your side. And it's hide the ball, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's just, and here's the thing that, people should be so really upset about is not only is this an effort to take everybody's rights away, but while the state is burning down. The state is in total disrepair. The schools are horrible. The cities have become homeless camps with wall-to-wall needles. Everything is falling apart, and this is what they waste their time on.
So let me just say, though, Kevin, what you just noted is true. That is also leverage. If we have politicians with proper intestinal fortitude, and this is where we need to go on to, all right, we're looking at this is everything bad that the commies want to do. to law-abiding people, to people who aren't causing any harm to anyone, right? We know that's what's going on. This is what Kate Brown and her fellow traveler commies have planned for the 2019 legislature. We get that. Now then, people are saying there's a supermajority of the Dems. The Dems can do whatever they want. There is one tool left, because I ended up looking, I ended up counting up and looking up what a quorum is in the Oregon State Legislature. You have to have 40 in the House present, and you have to have 20 present in the Senate. Well, there are enough Republicans that if they walk out of both houses, they're shut down cold.
Exactly. And will they have the courage to do that? And it's not like, as I said, it's not just a matter of this one issue. Kate Brown and, as you call them, her fellow travelers are doing everything in their power to attack law-abiding people while asking for $2 million in the next budget to pay the legal fees of illegal immigrants. And so what we're saying is come to our state illegally, get on our welfare systems, steal stuff, run people over, commit crimes. We'll pay your legal fees, but if you're a good Oregonian who wants to protect your family, we're going to send you to jail.
So let's talk about, then, the quorum issue, because I know Representative Carl Wilson, who I know is a good guy, ended up writing in this morning, and he's talking about Senate Bill 501 and all the attacks on the Second Amendment. The real question is, are you willing to walk out, Carl, right?
Sure.
Kim Wallen, are you willing to walk out? Senator Herman Bertschiger, because I'm not going to be able to do anything about Jeff Golden. I can't do anything about Jeff Golden or Pam Marsh or any of these other people. I can't do anything about them. They don't care. They don't care about what we care about this morning. They don't care about civil rights as far as I'm concerned. So we can't fix them. All we can do is use the one tool we have left. Fair enough?
Absolutely. And, any Republican who says, well, look, this is what the people voted for. Well, it's not what the people in your district voted for.
Nope.
And, we know that the power of Portland and Eugene and, Ashland outnumbers the good people in this state. But the good people have to have something to hold on to. And you know what? The majority isn't always right. They may be ruling here, but they're not always right. And in this case, it really is a cancer. And they campaigned on a promise of screwing good Oregonians. And Kate Brown is, she's in her last term now, and she's still raising tons of money to spread her message of fear. And it really is going to require that the people who we elected to represent, both of my representatives are Republicans. I'm going to have that expectation that they're going to do that. And ultimately, with the way things are going, if they refuse to do it, they really serve no purpose anymore.
Yes.
If we voted,
and frankly, even the draconian gun control, the stupid gun control, which has happened up to this point over the last couple of legislative sessions, could have been solved if Republicans had brains and brawn and walked out. You just say, no, you're not going to get it. We're not going to allow a vote on this.
And if we didn't have Republicans like Newt Buehler folding, the Republicans like Richard Weil and Julie Parrish, who both lost, none of them are coming back. So what did they accomplish? And we had a handful of pro-gun Democrats, all of who've been neutered by Tina Kotek. And so it really does require that we find people who are tough as nails and not people who just want to go to Hollywood for ugly folks.
All right, 11 before 8. I'm speaking with Kevin Starrett, Oregon Firearms Federation. So here it is. I'm talking about a government shutdown. Well, it's not really a government shutdown, but put it this way. How badly do Democrats want all that funding, all their tax increases for the schools and for the children, Kevin? It's like, okay, if you want that, you better not do anything when it comes to these draconian gun bills.
Well,
How about that? Pretty simple choice, isn't it?
I think it's pretty simple. And you look at the condition of our schools, and you see what Dennis Richardson has unearthed, how our schools are just flushing money down the toilet. And recognizing that we're bringing in more money than we ever have before. And you can rest assured that the public school people are going to say, well, the reason we're flushing money down the toilet is because we don't have enough money, and we need to appoint a commission to look into this, and that'll cost $250,000.
That's all commissions. That's where all the good ideas go to die. That's for sure.
And then we'll appoint a committee to name the commission, and that'll cost another $100,000. And 5 years from now, we expect to have a solution to this problem.
All right. What about people who are hanging their hats on the sheriffs, protecting them from gun control? If it were to come, Kevin.
Well, the sheriffs certainly have a part to play in this, and they can refuse to enforce certain laws, and I think many of them will. But that is not going to matter in instances like background checks for ammunition purchases. Sheriff isn't playing a part in that at all. This person goes into the store, it is the gun dealer then has to contact the state police. The state police just say no to everybody. What is the sheriff going to do then? If a permit is required to simply buy a gun, which is part of Senate Bill 501, okay, you cannot even purchase a firearm, not carry it. You can't purchase it without permission from the state police, and the state police say no. There's nothing the sheriff can do about that either.
Kevin Starrett, Oregon Firearms Federation. So that's what I was getting at. The job here is to stop the stuff from being voted on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact is that they have the votes. They have the votes for everything, and all the smoke and mirrors from people like Paul Evans, who's a militant anti-gunner, who has this bill out. You can get a tax credit for a background check fee. This guy is so far to the left and so anti-gun, but he has snookered gun owners in his district and pretended to be pro-gun, and people just don't look at his voting record. So this will be something shiny he can dangle in front of people and say, oh, look what I'm doing for you, while with the other hand, I'm taking away your right to own anything. You won't need a background check because you won't be able to buy anything.
Yeah, well, we want to be sensible about this and fight with the tools that we have. Kevin Starrett, Oregon Firearms Federation. Now, we'll talk about how to join and what we need, even if you don't have money and you don't have a whole lot of cash, because a lot of people write you about that. We'll talk about that here in a second. John in Medford has a question about 501. How you doing, John?
Yeah, good morning. I am in a career field as a lender that if the legislation enacts a law that all of a sudden makes me a felon, it's a career-ending move, and it's something I've never heard Kevin talk about, but it's something that anyone who's in a professional position where a felony basically kicks you out of your career field. I think it's something very important for people to consider.
Well, I mean, kicks you out of your career field. I mean, it could put you in prison. And think about the effects that this has on merchants. I mean, a person who owns a business that sells firearms or ammunition is now told, well, you can't sell 80% of your product anymore, and the other percentage, your ammunition sales, also require permission from the state police. It's no longer a right. But any position, I mean, most people will lose their jobs if they become felons, and a lot of people will just become felons if these things are enacted. And that's exactly where we're going with this stuff. It's madness.
All right, Kevin, let's talk about how people can get involved with you, because even today, I had no idea. I was listening to Gun Talk yesterday, and I just forgot his name. Tom Gresham. Okay, yeah, Tom Gresham was just talking about this and saying that National Rifle Association is not really getting involved in this kind of a battle. This is something where you have to join your state groups, and that's you, Oregon Firearms Federation. And what you were telling me the other day is that some people, they won't join because they're concerned that, I don't have a lot of money, I'd like to be able to contribute, but that doesn't matter. You still want to know them, right?
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything to get on our alert list. You just go to our website, find a little tab, put your email address in there, and then you're going to know what's happening, and you're going to be given whatever tools are at our disposal to actually do something about it. I did get an interesting email this morning from the wife of a former legislator who was recommending that people write to their legislators so that their offices are filled with paper that they have to deal with. But whether they do that or not, it doesn't cost a dime to get our information. Just go in there, put your email address in there, and we're going to tell you everything we know and say, here's what you can do about it. So that is something that everybody should do.
I'm going to approach our friendlier state legislators, senators and representatives, and say, okay, are you willing to go to the mat? How big a boy or girl are you? Is essentially what we're going to be dealing with here over these next few weeks. Fair enough?
Well, it'll be interesting. You know, I've known Carl Wilson a long time. He's a great guy, and he's the new House leader for the Republicans.
Yep.
And so it's probably not an enviable position to be in. You know, I've known many legislators who were asked to be in leadership position and just didn't want it. It's a headache. But, you know, I'm hopeful. He's a tough guy, and that is really where we have to pin our hopes on the willingness of the Republicans to just face the reality that not only on this issue, but on every issue, the state is just dying. You know, we set the state on fire every summer, and we don't put out the fires.
We don't do anything about criminals, really, but yet we want to create criminals out of tens of thousands of normal people not hurting anyone.
We create criminals. We defend the real criminals and create people who should never have been considered criminals, because now we just said something that was perfectly lawful is now illegal. And obviously this is the intention of the left to destroy the state and the country, and they're doing a fine job of it. And ultimately, more and more people who are producers leave the state because they just simply can't stand the politics, and we become a magnet for addict. I mean, we want to have safe needle exchanges, and we want to encourage criminal activity, and we want to hurt people who work and produce and pay taxes. And that's why Portland has turned into the next San Francisco. It's something that needs to be dealt with. All
right, Kevin. Mike the Infidel had a question he wanted to know. Senate Bill 501, would that apply to shot shell type firearms too? You know?
Well, it just the ammunition portion of it would absolutely apply to that. But if something is defined as semi-automatic, then yeah, I mean, if it's a shotgun, certainly.
All right.
Depending on the capacity of the firearm as well. If it's over 5 rounds, it's illegal.
That's it. By the way, existing firearms that can handle more than 5 rounds under 501. What's the story there? All of a sudden, you criminalize what you bought lawfully. Not that long before.
If you have a magazine, you have 180 days to turn it in and destroy it.
Oh, turn it in and destroy it. Okay. Yeah. Kind of like President Trump's bump stock ban, too. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't even want to go down the Trump bump stock at the moment because it's being legally challenged. And from what I'm hearing, good chance of maybe them prevailing over that. But another conversation for another day, my friend. Thank you, Kevin. Always good talking with you. All right.
Thank you, Bill. Take care.
Kevin Starrett, Oregon Firearms Federation. Sign up for the email lists, even if you don't join the organization, but you got to know what's going on here. But if you can join, please do and contribute.